Hello inspiring Charitam fans. How are you doing? We bring stories that are unique and inspirational. This story is about a wife who destroyed a perfect family by living a fantasy life with the affair partner for few months. Let's hear it. It was a picture-perfect family for Eli. She and her husband of 4 years were extremely happy. They had their first child a couple of years ago and were navigating well through parenthood. Life has been tough after the newborn. It wasn't as spontaneous as it used to be. The priorities have changed, but Eli and Peter were in a good marriage, at least from the outside. Both of them were in the same office. They met in the office and fell in love. Peter continued to work in the office whereas Eli took a break for the newborn. She rejoined after 2 years in the same position. Tim was working on the role which Eli vacated when she went for maternity leave. The office decided to put them in the same role to bring in more efficiency and output. Tim was not someone who joined new. In fact, Eli and Peter knew Tim for a good amount of time. Tim was working in the office when Eli joined. Peter joined a few months later. Eli and Tim went along well, however. After Peter came into the picture, Eli just drifted apart. Her relationship with Tim remained more like a distant coworker. Tim and Eli started rekindling their friendship after they started working together again. Eli felt refreshed with Tim because there were no chores to think about, no worries about the family, child, and other things. However, with Peter things were different. They had so many things to think about, and the chemistry seemed to be faded. Eli forgot that's life. Eli had to go outside the town for a good 2 weeks. Peter was aware of the project and he supported her. He knew Tim would accompany her, but he trusted Eli completely. Also, Tim has never been a concern. He wasn't really aware of things going on between the two. The 2 weeks were perfect for the affair to blossom. During the time when Peter was struggling between work and home to keep their child safe, Eli was having time of her life with Tim. One of Peter's cousins helped Peter during this time. She was looking for a job and Peter offered him some babysitting salary for a couple of weeks. She loved her brother and agreed to take care of her niece. Eli's life, however, was getting more and more complicated in the trip. Tim apparently had a fantasy to badmouth the partner. Eli was so deep in the fog that she agreed. Tim was just humiliating Peter and Eli joined the game. They spoke awful things about Peter. How unsatisfying he was in bed. He was deserved to be cheated. Tim was an alpha male who took away the unsatisfactory wife. How Peter was a failure as his wife begs other man and, worse. It was a world of fantasy for Eli, but she never knew that Tim had recorded many of these acts with audio. The affair continued, so the humiliation. Eli was a completely different woman at home and another person with Tim. This continued for almost 6 months. She slowly started getting over the affair fog. She realized how awful, manipulative, and scumbag Tim was. She felt ashamed of humiliating her husband and the love of her life. She knew that she had risked her marriage, and wanted to come out of it. She quit her job, saying that she needs to focus on their daughter. Peter was supportive again. But Tim kept pressuring her for the affair, which she refused. But Tim could not take the rejection and it was time for him to do what he always wanted. During an office party, where both Tim and Peter were present, things went north. In front of a crowd, a drunk Tim used all his cuss words against Peter for taking Eli away from him twice, once at the beginning and once now. Peter was confused and then he openly said how royally he screwed his wife for 6 months. When Peter tried to dismiss him, he showed him one of the recorded videos where both Tim and Eli were humiliating him. At least 10-20 people might have heard this at the party. Well, everyone knows such information spreads like fire. Peter was crushed beyond belief. He was a crying mess. He didn't know what to do. He called his cousin, the only other person he knew from the town. She picked him up and took him to her place. Her roommates were quite awesome and helped him sleep that night as Eli kept calling him. Tim in fact shared a few of the nasty videos with him as well and gave laughing emojis. He was so desperate that he was messaging him to take some extreme steps to cover the embarrassment. Thankfully, Peter's cousin took away the phone from him and switched it off. Eli wasn't aware of this till midnight till Peter's cousin called her and told her that he was safe. She also informed her that she was disgusted by her behavior. She knew very little about the affair as Peter could only say that his wife was having an affair. Eli knew her perfectly coveted lie was exposed. She had no idea the extent of it though. Peter went the next day and told her why she had to humiliate him. She begged and cried. Peter told her that he never wished to see her face. He didn't even want to listen to her excuses and simply asked her to leave. It was too much for him. He knew he had to be strong for his daughter, but somehow his resolve was failing. He also registered an official complaint against Tim in the HR department and in the police. There were texts from Tim that clearly indicated that Tim was trying to push Peter for the extreme step. Eli came to know about all that happened at the party and how Tim used every opportunity to berate Peter from one of her ex-coworker. She knew what she did was wrong, but the aftermath she never imagined. Tim was arrested and fired from the job. Peter filed for divorce. Unfortunately, in his country, the primary custody of the child remains with the mother. Father generally gets visitations. Eli cried and begged him not to divorce, but Peter was a broken man. Hours and hours of therapy could not bring the old Peter back. Their divorce was finalized after 9 months. The 3-year-old daughter was too young to understand what was happening, but she certainly missed her father. Eli knew what she had done, but things were beyond repair. Shortly after the divorce, Peter left the country. It was too much for him. He is still in contact with his daughter. They have met physically only once since the divorce that was almost 5 years ago. Peter has not dated anyone. The trauma still haunts him. But he is doing much better now. The episodes of anger are fewer and farther between the two. Eli has moved to a different city. All her friends and family basically disowned her. She is a single mother now. Her life revolves around her daughter, but she knew she has destroyed a beautiful family, a beautiful soul. Her guilt has put her in the couches of therapists. She dated many but nothing went for long term. She is more of a hookup woman than a partner now. Our acts do not only impact us, but also everyone around us. Mostly we realize what we have done only after the damage is visible. This is not because that we didn't know their consequences, this is because we chose to ignore it. Affairs are like the warning signs on the cigarette packets, they know it is harmful, but still, they carry on, because it gives them short-term pleasure. What do you think about the story? Make sure to subscribe to the channel for new and fresh stories. Please share the feedback and your suggestions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon to get a notification whenever a new video is uploaded. Please check the other videos in the channel too. Stay healthy and happy. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching.